Hi, I'm Mike Hughes, Next Level Training. Welcome to the Armors course. The purpose and focus of this video is to give you an understanding of how to install the SIRT AR bolt and get up and rolling in your AR-15. So let's jump into this. What I have done so far here is I have removed the bolts and the charge handle from your AR. I'm going to assume that you have done that before. You have some familiarity on how to do that. So once you have that removed, you can take our AR bolt. You rotate this to get her out. Do a quick inventory check. Make sure you have everything here. You got the bolt, you got little parts kit. First step, my friends, is go ahead and take your AR bolt, all right, and just slide it on in like so. It will be flush on this end, so you can go ahead and close it ultimately down here in the lower receiver. Now, after you have installed the bolt and the upper receiver, we just simply install this housing and the pin into the lower receiver, and we'll do it like so. First off, go ahead and grab your pin and rotate it like this so you unscrew it a ways, all right? So you'll probably want to rotate it about so. Now really how this bolt functions is that the hammer is pressed rearward like so from the upper surface right here in the bolt, so there is free travel of your trigger. All right, this is what allows the safety, the selector switch, to still be operable, all right, but yet have this free travel which pushes up this pin, and this pin will transfer that motion, that energy, up inside the bolt where the brake mechanism is. So let's jump into it, and I think this will become a little bit more clear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy right here, this pin, and place it in the housing like so. Now once the pin is in this housing, what we do is we place it so this magnetic portion right here is actually going to fit right on top of the selector switch, your safety on the interior portion. Now you may want to take and observe this region in the back, that it is reasonably flat, so it allows this guy to fit and around the safety. So you just basically can mount it like so, and what you want to do and observe is that make sure that the base of this pin can actually go down and touch the rear part of your trigger. So just so we understand this, if you've ever looked inside your M4, your AR, you have a disconnector right here, and right next to that in the rear portion is the base of your trigger. And you can see that actually move up and down. And that little guy that's moving up and down is what we key off of. That is actually where the base portion of this pin rests upon. All right, so let's just go ahead and install it. I'm going to install it like so, and then just plop this guy. You'll feel like the magnet catch it, all right? And then from there, okay, that looks like it's mounted pretty well. Go ahead and you can take your AR. Now, a little tricky part here is you will notice there is a hole right here, and that hole is going to receive the pin. So it's a little bit of finesse to get used to closing this up. Do make sure the hammer's jacked back, make sure the hammer's pressed rearward, and go ahead and close it up. And you have to kind of tweak this pin a little bit. I'm going to push it forward a little bit, and then close it. It's not quite there, so I'm going to push it forward a little bit more, and then I'm going to close it up. Boom. Now what you have to do is test it to see if it's the right length. Because you see, because this is a retrofit, all of the triggers will have a little bit different heights as far as all the different trigger models and what have you. So that's why I want to adjust that pin up and down so we can get so you can adjust the correct height. Make sure your safety is off so you do have free range travel of your trigger, and press it back and forth. Okay, so now if you do have to make an adjustment, just go ahead and pull the pin and separate the lower receiver from the upper receiver where the front pin is still attached. And if the light didn't come on the laser did not come on at all, what you want to do is take this pin out and lengthen it a little bit. And when I say lengthen it, you just simply unscrew it, all right, a few turns. And if you assembled it and the laser just came on right away, that means this pin is actually too long, and you might have to screw it in a little bit and shorten it up. So once you get the correct break, what you want to do is get a little bit of Loctite in here. You can just dab it on those threads or super glue or something like that, and just lock it in place. You don't want to use too much, because if you ever have to just remove an AR, you want to get your wrench on there and turn it and still be able to break it free. but you'll get a few hundred reps, but eventually if you just leave it as is, that's going to walk a little bit. The threads will, and it will no longer break, okay? And you have to open it up, give it about usually a turn and a half, lengthen it, and get it back going again. So let's go ahead and reassemble this. Got the little housing in there. All right, so I got a really nice break. I'm feeling pretty good on that. And I get the laser coming down. So the next phase after you have the break, you just want to adjust the laser to your sights. One nice thing about the SIRT AR bolt is that you adjust the laser down the barrel to your sights, so you don't have to mess with your sights. Keep your sights where you're at, wherever your dope is, wherever you're sighted in. Okay, now to adjust the sights, go ahead and grab this 1.5 millimeter hex wrench. You will notice that this hex wrench is a bit longer than other hex wrenches. And that is because we have two adjustment ports. We have one that's right for windage out of the ejection port, and the second adjustment screw is underneath through the mag well. So you need that length to reach up in there and adjust the vertical. You do have, depending on your barrel length, about 22 minutes of angle of adjustment, which gives quite a bit actually for just hitting that laser up and down. You should, right off the rip, have at least the laser going down the barrel. If it does not for some reason, like the way it mounts, what you have to do is play with the adjustments of the windage, left and right, up and down, so at least get it down the barrel, and then you can make the fine-tune adjustments. Or if you start making adjustments and just crank it too far and all of a sudden it doesn't come down the barrel at all, we'll cover what you have to do in that case, what kind of reads you make to at least start turning it in the right way. But for right now, I'm going to assume that you do have the laser extending out the barrel, and we just want to make these fine adjustments. So really, the way this works is the screw, you can just think of it pushes the back end of the laser around, okay? So the front's mounted. So if you go righty-tighty, it's going to move that laser to the right, all right? You go lefty-loosey, it's going to move that laser to the left, all right, as far as its impact with respect to the rifle. So if you don't remember that, it's kind of the easiest thing to do is just go one direction, and if it's wrong in the direction to your crosshairs or open sights, just go the other direction is a quicker rule of thumb on that. So anyhow, once you have this mounted in, what you can do is take your M4, you're going to pin that trigger back, have the laser on, and then just turn this until it matches your sights. So really how this looks in practice is you take your M4 up and make sure your safety's off, right? We do have some people who call, says it doesn't work, but they left their safety on, so which is it's a big operational benefit that your selector switch, your safety still operates, okay? So make sure your safety's off, pin that trigger, see that point of impact, all right? And then it might even help to shoot it southpaw style. All right, and then just adjust left and right, just so it's along about the vertical line of the crosshairs. All right, now you want to adjust your vertical. So what you do with this is you can see that through the mag well, there is a little screw head, okay, and you want to take this hex wrench and go ahead and feed it in there so it is mounted within that screw head. All right, now you can rotate this. Again, it's righty-tighty, so think that if it's righty-tighty, like you're screwing in a screw, it's lifting up that tail end of the laser, so the impact goes down. And if you go lefty-loosey, then that tail end of the laser goes downward and the impact goes up. But again, if you go the wrong direction, the easiest thing is just to go the other direction to go where you need to. So this is the trick. Go ahead and grab your handle and make sure that you support that little hex wrench so it stays in place. And again, safety off, and pin the trigger back, hang on to it, and then bring it up to your line of sight. Now, as far as sighting it in, you may want to sight it in at about 50 yards or even more, because you will find that it's pretty cool to reach out at further targets, and your line of sight as far as through your optics is of course straight, and the laser impact is straight. There's no bullet drop to it whatsoever. So the further out you reach, then the more that you're not going to have unnecessary lift of the laser impact, okay? So I'll go ahead and generally go outside, find a real far target. It's helpful to find a reflective target like a license plate or something of that nature, so it really bounces back at me even in full daylight, okay? But the real basic thing here is just, it's in this warehouse at least, if you are inside, like say in an armor's, your armor's room or what have you, you can just go ahead and put it a few clicks down below your crosshairs, okay? And then know that that's about right where it's going to kiss up and meet at a further distance. So that's some of the details of adjusting the laser, all right? And also, just as a quick side note, what you can do is adjust to your point of impact, and you put a new optic on, all right? Adjust that optic to that laser impact. So it kind of works as a bore sighter, so to speak, right? So let's take a look at what it looks like when the laser is hitting the side of the barrel, right? It should come going down the barrel, but if someone adjusts it too far one way or another and it hits the barrel, then you don't have anything to go off of, except for the reflection off the inside of your barrel. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and do the windage first. So I got the hex wrench in there. I pull the trigger all the way. Now when I rotate this, and I keep rotating it, notice how there is kind of a halo-like effect, all right? Now, what's happening is I am going righty-tighty, so I am pushing that laser off to the right. And if you look, you may notice that there's almost a halo off to the left. As I keep turning righty-tighty to the right, the laser now is going to hit the right side of the barrel, and take note of this halo-like effect that kind of comes off to the left side. It's a little bit more powerful light that illuminates that to the left, all right? Well, that's an indication that the laser's on the right and it's bouncing that direction. So essentially, whatever region you see that larger crescent moon, you want to go away from that, all right? So if there's a crescent moon off to the left, then you want to go lefty-loosey, all right, and bring it back down straight to the center of the barrel. Now, same principle as far as the vertical. Let's go and take a look there. So I'll have the gun inverted here. So I'm just going to righty-tighty this so it's going to bounce off the top part of the barrel, all right? And you see a halo, more of a little halo like that on the, in this case, the upper portion. And so what I do is just lefty-loosey this until it gets more down back to the center portion. Okay, now let's take a look at what it looks like when the laser starts actually bouncing off one side and then bouncing off the other side. So the easiest way to demonstrate this, so I'm going to put the hex wrench and pin the trigger back, and let's take a look at how the laser changes. So now you can kind of see how it's bouncing off the upper part of the barrel, which is the lower part as this is upside down. Now it actually starts to bounce above and then to the other side and then back out. So when you really got it crazy, it looks like that, all right? That thin little halo, all right? Now let's go ahead and I'm going to go lefty-loosey and bring it back around, and we're back to that center portion. So essentially the first thing to do is see where that halo crescent moon-like shape is, and then adjust away from that. And if it gets worse, that might be a double crescent, all right, where you have to actually go back towards it till it's centered. Okay, as far as reassembling the bolt, it's pretty simple. Go ahead and just separate your upper from your lower receiver, just as you would normally do. You only have to remove this rear pin only. So you can take a punch or the like and just press that out. And what you want to do here, go ahead and remove this plastic base block with the magnetic base block. Sometimes it helps to just grab the pin and tilt it backwards to break that magnetic contact. Then get a little bit of a grip there and then pull it out, all right? So just go inspect it, make sure everything's good down there. Now to get the bolt out itself, sometimes it's nice to have a screwdriver just to give a little bit of a pry down in the base area right here. Just give it a little bit of a torque, so once you break from that inner turret chamber, just go ahead and pull that out. If you haven't cleaned your AR at this point, it's kind of a good idea to mop it out, clean the bore and what have you. Then reassembly is pretty basic as far as reassembling with your charge handle and your bolt. and go ahead and close it back up. One quick tip though, just to make sure out of abundance of caution nothing got in your barrel, it's not a bad idea to look through the breech and just make sure you got a good clean barrel, good clean chambers, little flashlight, what have you, as you always should do, and go ahead and reassemble with your bolt and of course your charge handle. So that is the fundamentals of installing and removing the bolt. If you have any questions or concerns, please call customer service and we'll make sure you're taken care of.